Okay, today we're going to be looking at the Nucleus Nano. This is the wireless follow focus system that we have specifically for the 6K cameras, but you can use it in further context if you wish. But we have paired it specifically with the 6K, so let's look what's inside. So inside the case on the top left is your actual handset where you'll pull focus from. Then right next to it is the follow focus motor that will go on your rail system and actually pull the focus. Then we have a power cube that's USB-C. Then we have a clamp. Then up in the top right, we have a bungee cord that is USB-C to USB-C. We'll get into how we're going to use that later. In the bottom left, there's a battery plate with a USB-C output. We also have a focus gear if you're using any vintage lenses, or basically any lenses that don't have their own cinema gears on them. This you would wrap around the lens, then use for that. And that's all that actually comes in the case. So let's assemble this and see how it works. Okay, so to start, I'll have our 6K ready with the lens on it, with the rails already in place here. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to attach the battery plate here. Now on our cage that we have on our 6K cameras, you can kind of choose your own adventure here. You can put this wherever you want. I kind of enjoy just putting it on the top of the camera, but you can also put it on either side of the camera. It just depends on how or what kind of preferences that you have really. But easy for me is just to put it on top of the camera, and it comes with a screw that has a little handle on top, so you can just do this by hand, or you can do it with the hex wrench if you, whatever you want. Bob's your uncle, Gene is your chiropractor, the world's your oyster. So I'm going to just kind of hand tighten that in place. And then we're going to put the actual focus motor on our rail system. So remember, you always want your focus motors on the right side of the camera, the first AC side of the camera, just so it's a little bit more out of the way. So I'm going to put it, no, when I say right, I mean camera's right, but for you, this will be the left side. But I'm going to go ahead and just put this in place and make sure it's lined up with the gears of the focus. So basically you want the teeth of your follow focus motor and the teeth of the focus ring to be lined up and kind of interdigitating. And then you just really have to lock this down, like find the strongest person on set to tighten this. And you also want this rail to be really tight, because if this rail is loose, it's going to spin out of the way in your motor. So if your rail's loose, this will just spin. So make sure that is tightened as well. That's a common issue that people have. Your number one issue with this whole system is that your motor is going to be falling off of the lens. So we want to do whatever we can to make sure when we first set this up that this is really tightened down so that we don't have to continually maintain it all throughout the shoot. So put that in place and make sure that it's fairly tight. And now we have to power it. So that's where our USB-C to USB-C cable is going to come into play. There's a little tab on the focus motor that pops up. We're going to plug it in. And then on the side of your battery plate that we put at the top, there's a USB-C port. Make sure that you know where that port is when you're installing this onto the cage, because if it's on the wrong side, then suddenly cables will go everywhere. So we're going to take that other side of the USB-C cable and plug it in. And now we need a battery on this plate. So this Nucleus Nano kit doesn't come with batteries. So of course there are extra batteries that come with the 6K. Now what I recommend you do is that you check out a camera and accessory kit. So a camera accessory battery kit. These come in these kind of lime green bags, and all that this really is 2 more of these Sony batteries as well as a charger. So now that you have access to more batteries, you take one of those and plug it in here. So once you place a battery in place, your motor will automatically power on, and you'll see some lights flashing. If this light is ever flashing, that means it's looking for the handset. So we'll go ahead and take our handset now, and I'll walk you through it. All right, so now let's talk about the handset. Hey, look at my face right there. Okay, so now let's talk about the handset. Oh, that is off-putting. On the side, there are 3 buttons here. The one with the red dot, I guess a record button. To turn it on, you press and hold that, and it'll kind of vibrate in place. There's also a function button here and a knob here that is rarely used. But once you look at the handset, it is a touchscreen. It has a menu system with some optionality for you to look at, but basically the center menu system is what you're mostly going to be using, and it'll change as you rotate the actual focus mechanism. The first thing we need to do though is connect the handset to the focus motor. Straight out of the box, hopefully these will just be connected and it'll work and that'll be completely fine. But if they're ever not connected, what you need to do is swipe up to pull up a different menu system, a sub menu system, and then find the one that says connect, and then click on connect. And we're going to use 2.4G, and we're going to make sure that's turned on. And then we're going to go to channels, and there's going to be a list of channels, but we just want to search all of them. So search, and then it's going to say a device list, but nothing's going to come up. So now you need to go to the back of the focus motor. There's a kind of fairly large button on the back here, and if you double click, you'll notice the lights will start blinking, and then you'll go back to your handset device and you'll see that there's a name that comes up. Basically, you're telling the motor that, hey, we're looking for you, and then it'll pop up here and you'll say confirm, and then it'll auto connect, and suddenly this will now start pulling focus. Now our units are connected. Hopefully straight out of the box they will already be connected, but if you have connection issues and you need to connect them, that is how you should do it. All right, so now that it's working, you can pull focus, but we still need to calibrate for this lens so the unit will know when to stop pulling focus, because otherwise you'll be clicking on the lens and breaking things and I'll hate you forever. So in order to calibrate, what it's going to do is it's going to pull focus for you all the way to the end, and it's going to find that end, and it's going to roll the focus all the way to the other side and find its places where it's going to hard stop. In order to do that, you can do it from the handset by pressing and holding the top function button. You press and hold that for a couple of seconds and you'll see that it'll find the end points of the lens, and now it knows. Now when it does this, it's going to be violent. So a good practice is to hold the units together, hold the lens and the motor together while it's doing that, because if these aren't tightened down in place, the motor will come off and it'll start skipping. But once they are calibrated, it won't be as violent because the motor should know where the hard stops are, and it'll kind of stop millimeters before that. So you can do that from the handset, or if you're by the camera and the handset's completely in the other room, the one button on the back of the motor, if you press and hold this, it will also initiate a calibration process. So you just press and hold it, it'll calibrate, and now you're ready to go. We're kind of used to using dry erase markers to like make our points and marks as we make marks for focus. So oftentimes you'll have an actor stand in their first position and you'll get focus on that. Then you'll go to their second position and we'll focus on that and we'll make those marks. Well, there's a digital way to do that with this. So as you spin focus, you kind of see this dot that moves around in place. You can put marks in place. So if you have your actor move to their first mark and it's right there, if you press the function button, it'll drop a mark, and then you can go to their last stop and you drop a function button there. And suddenly now we have marks in place and you can pull focus without actually looking at the image or the camera. And then once you roll focus over these marks, the handset will actually vibrate for you. So you could look up and watch the action and then just feel for the vibration on where you're supposed to stop focus. If you want to take those marks away, you double click the function button and it'll delete the most previous placed mark. So now it kind of takes the whiteboard way of doing things away and does it in a digital fashion that I think is really fun and accessible. Now the back of this handset device does have a clamp system. Some first ACs like to be more hands-free. So we do provide a clamp. There's little divots in this clamp that will line up with the divot on this clamping mechanism here. You basically have to put the clamp in place and then go ahead and lock it all the way down. And now you have a clamp, and you can attach this clamp to a C-stand or a light stand or however you want, and you'll have a more hands-free experience. Or just hold it in your hands, it's up to you. Just don't throw it like a hockey puck off of a cliff or something like that. Take care of our stuff because the stuff is really fun and nice. Okay, so to turn the handset off, it's the same button. Press and hold the red button. It'll make you press and hold it for 3 seconds, and then it'll vibrate as it shuts down. The other thing I wanted to mention is that this has an internal battery. This will die, which means you need to charge it. So to charge it, you're going to use the same cable, the USB-C stretchy cable, and it plugs in to the side of the handset. You'll find a flap where there's a USB-C port. You'll plug that in, and that's where our cube tap comes in. You'll plug this in the wall. Make sure this is charged the night before whatever shoot you're going on, because if it's dead, you can't use it. Make sure everything's charged. That should be simple. But that's why we include this, and that's how you make sure this is charged. The last thing I want to talk about is this additional focus gear that we include. So if for whatever reason you're using a lens that's older or not really meant for filmmaking and it doesn't have the teeth that are required to use this, you can wrap this around your lens. It's a really basic mechanism. It's got a slot where the teeth go into. Basically, we're going to wrap this around our lens focus wheel and kind of wrap it as hard as you can so it doesn't slip. And then you're just going to make sure those teeth are in place and then kind of bully that in there. It takes a little wrestling and a little maneuvering, but now this will focus the lens and you just put your teeth in there. And now you can use whatever other lenses you happen to be. So another thing that can happen is even if you are completely connected, sometimes your focus wheel, if you notice your focus wheel isn't working, one thing that might have happened is you got to keep notice of the light on here. We want our light to be purple. So if you one-click this battery, it'll change, and we're going to go until we find like a light purple, like a lavender. Oh, and I clicked through it because I got impatient. But there we go. It's going to be like almost a pink. Once it's on there, now you'll be able to pull focus. But if for whatever reason on accident, if you accidentally click this button and it changed to a different color, it'll suddenly not be able to focus again. So you have to one click through that until it gets to like that pink purple. And then once you're there, then you can start to pull focus again. So it's just a really random thing. Those lights have meaning, but it's beyond the purview of this video. If it stops working, just make sure you're on purple or pink or whatever color that is. Let's talk about color theory of purple for a second. If you have any other questions, as always, feel free to come by the equipment room on Wednesdays, all day Wednesdays. I'm here to answer questions. Good luck on your shoots.